You should be still hearing me. Do me a favor. Tweet to me. Let me know you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Thank you. So when you're risking, you're putting on risk that has real potential to do damage to you emotionally. So when you listen to people like me or other educators and they say risk 2% on your trade, 2% is a lot. New traders should not be risking 2%. I think that you can make a lot of money risking 1/2 of 1%. And anybody that says that you can't is full of shit. Now, there are people that can do really phenomenal things risking a lot. Larry Williams was one of them. Okay. I don't think that that's something that a new trader should aspire to do because, number one, you already have a lot of other things to worry with. And if you learn how to trade and you can do things well, reading price action, over time you'll learn where your strengths are. You'll know the setups that you can really trust that are going to be runners. And that part is a knack. That's an experience thing. Most of the questions that you see many people ask me all the time, how do I know this and how do I know that? As soon as you see a question started with the framework of how do I know, chances are I'm going to 99% of the time say it's just a matter of experience. When I don't know very much about that guy, Tom Hogard. He's apparently he puts on really big size and takes on a lot of risk. One of the videos, the few videos I watched was one of him showing where he put up, I believe the equivalent like 40,000. I'm probably doing a terrible disjustice to the presentation, but I only watched it, one time, and from what I gathered, he knew going in, and it was very responsible of him to articulate it in his presentation that he knew going in that he has the potential of blowing out, but he was going to push it really, really hard. So he's a high stakes trader. That's Larry Williams level type risk. That to me, that's anxiety inducing. I personally could not take that kind of risk on because the outcome of failing with it would be worse than the monetary loss. So the advantages of using money management to do all the heavy lifting, that's what I do. That's how I teach it. And every time you saw me run up the accounts, that's what I utilized. I wasn't doing crazy leverage, but I have a lot of respect for that type of thing because if you can do it, man, that's brass. I can't do it. And I have no shame in saying I can't do that. I can't do world poker competition. These same people, you see these same faces that are willing to put big, heavy bets on. They have strong convictions. You're not going to talk them out of it. Unfortunately, and I don't know very much about Tom, but I think he would be in agreement in this regard. I don't think that a new student that has no experience whatsoever should aspire to do something like that. And I think he communicated that effectively in his presentation, saying, this obviously is very, very risky, and he's not promoting the idea that you should try to duplicate that. I can tell you, and I know some of you are probably already hoping this is going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do that type of $40,000 risk and let's try to blow the account up to $400,000 in one day. You're not going to see that. I can't do that. I can't do that. But I can grow an account over a course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, and have really respectful returns. So again, you have to know where your thresholds are. You have to know what you're capable of doing and where your problem areas are going to be. Because if you lose money, the money is replaceable. It's very difficult to patch up a scar that comes from losing badly, especially if you know going in, I should not be doing this, and your conscience is telling you, don't do it. You shouldn't be doing this, but you just gotta scratch that itch. And as soon as you enter that trade, guess what happens? Regret. The loss is easily recouped. It's money. That can be made more of. But now you have that mental scar, that scar tissue that's going to haunt you for as long as you trade. And even if you stop, it's still going to be a source of pain. It's going to limit you. Scar tissue, it's not as flexible as your regular flesh. So when you stretch your bounds beyond what you're used to doing for growth, what are you going to be leaning on? All the good stuff you did right? No. No, you're not. You're going to be limited by the scar tissue that won't let you stretch as far as you would if you wouldn't have endured that painful thing. So you don't want to develop a lot of scar tissue, which is what I did in the beginning. I have a lot of scars that they're still impacting me as a trader. Like I know certain things that I've done to myself that are going to be detrimental if I repeat them. And sometimes they manifest themselves in my decision making and will either limit or altogether cause me to not participate in a move. And I'm comfortable with missing it because I'm not losing anything, but I'm not making anything either. So because of the scar tissue of doing things incorrectly as a developing student, trading before I should have with real money, and learning, I thought, with real money, when I had no idea what the hell was going on. I had no idea what price was doing. None. And I was in there trading 25 contracts of soybeans. No, I was dumb. I was so dumb. I had no business doing that. So you have to have a real world grounded respect for risk, especially when you first start. And don't be ashamed to say, I'm going to adopt 1/4 or 1/2 of 1% risk, even in your demo. You know, punching these numbers in and doing 10 contracts and 40 contracts and 16 contracts and being mesmerized, hypnotized, if you will, that this is what's reasonable for you to expect as a trader. That's why when you're trading with a demo, you should only be trading with, even if they give you $100,000, unless you're trading with $100,000 when you start trading with live funds, that's stupid to even consider it. Trade with the smallest size that the exchange will offer, a micro. Trade with that. But it's only $5 ICT. Who cares? You're learning how to read price. You're trying to remove the influence of the profit or loss, because that doesn't limit the effects on you as the trader. The psychological impact of that win and loss monetarily has much more lasting effects than the short-term affliction that you place on yourself with drawdown, or the mania that comes with doing something right and walk around feeling like you're invincible. Because that moment that you think you've got it all figured out, you're very vulnerable. You don't realize it, but you're extremely vulnerable. You know that you just had a windfall victory. And you're going to ignore the fact that you over-leveraged, you broke rules, but you're going to just say, well, I ain't going to bother with that right now because look what I made. And as soon as you share it on social media, that's it, it's done. You're going to keep going back to that post, see how many more people like your post, hitting that dopamine. And when it starts to wane and wear off, and there's more trading hours in a day, what are you going to do? Are you going to look at that win that you got that was really not justified because you took too much leverage in it? You broke every rule, but you want to feel good. Let me tell you something. You know what feels good? Knowing when not to trade and when to trade and only executing like that and being done. That feels good. That's fucking amazing. That's better than a Saturday night where you made it real, real good. You fill in the blanks when you know what I'm talking about. There's nothing better than being disciplined and knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it. Even if you have a losing trade, it feels good because it can't take more from you. You limited how much flesh it can take off of you. There's only so much ass you can lose in this business before you're done. But you have to fight that desire to feel like, okay, that one was great. It felt amazing. I shared it on public social media. Everybody sees it. And I got to do the next one because I'm feeling my high wear off. What are you trading? Think about that. What are you actually trading? Your social media equity curve. And that's what everybody's trying to do right now. Fuck social media. All of you that are listening, God bless you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and share my life experience. But ultimately, if none of you give a shit about me, I'm not losing sleep. I'm not changing my lifestyle because you like me or love me. It matters not. I'm pouring myself into people that are willing to listen to me. And hopefully I'm protecting some of you from yourselves before we even start this endeavor this year. But invariably, some of you aren't going to be saved. You want the scar tissue. And once you get it, you regret it. It hinders your growth and slows you down. So I'm teaching you in a way where you have all the upside advantages. And I'm trying to minimize all of the carnage that is possible if you just let yourself run wild. There has to be a controlled, structured approach to doing these things, knowing why you should do it, when you shouldn't do it. And you have to know what those thresholds are. And you have to also place them in a limitation in terms of monetary risk. So when you're doing your demo and you're doing the case studies that I'm going to put you in, I'm going to say, okay, in your demo, this is not an invitation for you to take a live trade. But in your demo, I'm going to tell you, all right, we're going to use this fair value gap or this order block, and we're going to aim for this, and we're going to use this stop loss. I want you to feel what it feels like to be in there doing that with no money. You can't make or lose anything from, nothing's going to leave your account. No money's going to leave. You're not going to miss your bills this month because you did something with real money. And you're not going to add more money to your bank account because you gambled. You're not going to learn effectively if you do it any other way besides what I'm showing you. And I'm asking you just to trust me in that. Just trust me. Because if you learn this skill set, there's no limit to what you can do with it. There's no limit to it. Sky is not the limit. And you can become a high stakes trader if you want. If your risk tolerance allows for that, mine doesn't. I don't have that. And I can respect anybody that does. It's insane. But I can't, as a mentor in good conscience, not beat this over your head. Even when you think you've heard enough of it, you haven't. You have not. Until you can exercise the discipline that's required, you don't know the lesson from it yet. And hearing it's not enough. So, core tenets to high probability trading. Okay, when we walk into this in February, I want you to constantly be referring to everything we're talking about, the frameworks that I'm going to outline, where I think the market's going to go, why it should go there, why it shouldn't do certain things. You want to be revisiting this list of things because these are going to repeat every single day. Number one, you need to know yourself. How are you going to undo yourself? You're going to ruin it. You are. Not these concepts, not Michael Huddleston, not the market, not the stop hunter. You're doing it to yourself. So you have to know yourself and how are you going to ruin your progress? Are you going to be toxic about your observations? Only look for where it was wrong? Or are you going to look at, you know what? I'm glad that this happened the way it did and I didn't take a loss. I've learned from this. Because you don't learn anything from making money. No one's ever learned jack shit making money. The only thing they did was feel like they want to get another hit of that. That's not positive learning. That's encouraging you to do what? Gamble. I'm not a gambler. I can't gamble. I can't risk that because I will beat myself up forever if I do those types of things. Because that's exactly what I did in the beginning as a trader. When I first started trading, I was gambling. That's what I was doing. I was taking a gamble on ignorance. I had no idea what I was doing. I was entering markets that could have absolutely decimated me. And it could have taken more money from me than I could have amassed, even with doing 3 jobs. And I didn't understand that risk. It was oblivious to me. I was the epitome of clueless. That was me. And I'm thankful that I was able to skirt my way through what I was able to endure, and it wasn't worse than it was. So you have to know yourself. How are you going to wreck yourself? Where's your character flaws? And that stuff needs to be understood. And don't hide from it. No, are you impulsive? If you're impulsive, then you need to start putting in more risk parameters and more boundaries for yourself. And that's a good thing. That's good medicine. As much as it doesn't taste good right now, that's a good thing. Because you want to be here when the moves come, that it's easy. The easy see, easy to enter. They just run away from your entry, go right to your targets. That's the days that you want to be here for. But if you blow up, pushing something really hard in markets that are shit, you don't give yourself the opportunity to do it. You're going to fortify your mindset with toxic feelings and experiences when I'm trying to teach you that that's part of this. You're going to lose. You're going to miss trades. It's going to stop you out, and you're going to have to live with that. That's what this lifestyle is. Like you're managing that constantly. Every trade you enter is a losing trade. Every single trade that you enter ever is a losing trade. You have to trade your way out of it. You have to overcome the cost of commissions. If you're trading Forex, you got to overcome that dealing spread. And until you close that trade and cover all costs associated with it, it's not a win. So every one of us live a lifestyle of a losing trader. And we have to trade our way out of that deficit that every trade opens up with. And it took a long time for me to understand that. I felt that every trade is a winner. That's what we're told by the books. That's what we hear from ICT videos sometimes. It comes across as a message that, you can't lose. Bullshit. Every one of my videos is laced with this stuff. You're going to lose. You are going to lose. And how you manage losing sets the stage for your ultimate success or failure. Because a losing trade is not failure. That's a tax on participation in the world's greatest fucking business. There's nothing better than this, folks. And you want to give every advantage to you and filter all the bullshit. Because there's no better way to make your own paycheck than this. If you can do it well, manage risk, how much can you make? I don't know. But whatever number you have associated with it, it's probably not high enough. That's the reality of this. You can make far more than you can imagine right now. But you're going to have to incur losing. Can you endure it? Most people can't. They lose their mind over it. They have to have perfection. Or I can't go home with a losing trade. So you have to know yourself. You got to know your market. All the characteristics that you can build up in understanding of what the market likes to do around the opening price at 9:30. What is it like to do on Mondays? What is it like to do on Fridays? How does the market like to behave in certain weeks when there's certain economic calendar events? All those factors, they're all characteristics, so that way you know your market. You can't fully appreciate that if you're trading 28 pairs in Forex. Every currency has its own little quirks and little characteristics that it likes to do. And I've done teachings on those, and they're in my YouTube channel, but we're looking at the ES. So the S&P 500 market has certain characteristics that I'm going to share throughout the year. And I'm going to tell you what they are before they happen in the marketplace. That way you can know it's not contrived, it's not form-fitting and cherry-picked, and just said, here, it happened, so therefore I can make it look like I'm smart. No. There's logic that repeats. And you'll see it. You'll handle it yourself. And then you'll come away knowing, wow, yeah, I can be really systematic about what it is I'm doing as a trader. And I won't be swayed by distractions and things that will otherwise undo me and prevent me from finding success. Because this is something that you can be successful in, folks. As much as I like to hammer the realities of what real risk is with this, I honestly believe that you can do this. You can do it. You can absolutely find a way to have a secondary source of income in this, but it isn't always going to be profits every single time you go in. You're going to have periods where you're making some, lose, dig into some drawdown, but you're going to manage it, you're going to mitigate it, and as it's creating, a series of losing trades, it's going to take less from you. and you're not going to be rushed to get back. I got to get back to equity high. You'll get there. You got the whole fucking year to trade. Don't worry about it. That one transaction, that 1 week, that month is not your entire career. But it's going to feel like it is. But my friends on social media, they're going to ask me, show me my MyFX book. Fuck them. Fuck them. You owe nobody nothing. Nothing. You're trading to make you and your fucking family wealthy. More than you have right now. You define wealth. I'm not going to tell you what my definition of it is. But if you're making money above what you earn right now from whatever means you get income from, that's a source of income. Who the fuck do you owe explanation of what you've done with your trades? Who do you owe that? Fuck these people. They're so entitlement minded. You owe me the fucking broker statements. You owe me a MyFX book. Fuck you. I owe you nothing. But just to rub it in your fucking face, I'm going to call the market every fucking day to the fucking infinite detail. Stick that up your ass. That's how you handle those jokers. Fuck them. If they're so worried about what you're doing, they're not satisfied with their own results. Because let me tell you something, I'm walking on fucking sunshine. I don't give a shit who's doing what. I don't give a flying fuck who's doing what. I don't care. That's the mindset that you have. That's what you adopt. Fuck everybody else. There ain't nothing wrong with that mindset. You're minding your own business. They're not going to fucking run your business better for you if you share your results. And again, I guarantee you, whoever you share those results with, some fucking joker, some fucking clown is going to say, I was expecting you to do more than that. Fuck off. Go back to fucking work on Monday, Dunkin' Donuts. Get the fuck out of here. So stop inviting these people into your development and letting them pour shit all over you in the beginning. You're going to be worrying about dumb shit if you invite other people's opinion. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. They don't matter. They're nobody in your development. Nobody. The same people that you're trying to influence or get acceptance from on social media right now, 5 years from now, when you're doing whatever the fuck you want to do, wherever the fuck you want to do it, you think you're going to remember these fucking clowns? Nope. Nope. But they're going to fucking remember you because they're going to see you, if you make it public, where you've gone. So if that's what you want to do, wait till you arrive. Stop bringing people into your fucking conversation and your development early stages because you're vulnerable. You're easily influenced. You're so influenced by, well, social media is very powerful. It's very effective. Think about it. You're here listening to me. Have you ever seen me sit on a live stream and trade live right in front of you? No. So how'd you get here? Word of mouth. Then you showed up. Then you studied a little bit and you see some things. And then you started watching me on Twitter. And then all of a sudden, this guy is calling every minor fluctuation in the marketplace extremely precisely. Well, yep, I'm that same guy that's been saying that I could have been doing this all of mine. And I don't give a fuck who wants me to do what. I don't care. What affects me is when a student spends time with me and they fail themselves and they say my life's work is a fraud. When I know if they just would have pressed further and got through that threshold, that pain barrier of not seeing what you were hoping to see by the time limits that you placed on it, press into that. Whenever you have adversity in this, you need to dig your fucking heels in. I am not leaving. I'm not going to motherfucking place. This is just a speed bump, and this is something that's saying you aren't worthy, and I am fucking worthy. You're worthy. You are fucking destined to do this. You are absolutely, you ended up here for that very reason. That's a testament. You're meant to do this. I didn't advertise. I didn't trick you with some fucking advertisement on Facebook or YouTube. I don't run ads. The testimonials are organic. It's real. And that's how you ended up here. So don't cheat yourself out of the opportunity to do this right. Don't fall victim to the bullshit that everybody else falls victim to. And that's knowing your model. Only operate in that. Don't try to tinker with it in the beginning. Stick to the things I'm going to show you. Only operate in that, because you will get the foundational experience that's required to start adding on other things. You want to build an addition to your home? Well, you have to have a foundation before you have a home, right? And that's what this whole tape reading thing is. It's not about putting you in winning trades. It's about reading price, knowing yourself. How are you feeling about price? You're going to hear me ask that when I'm doing my sessions. I'm saying, this is where I think the market's going to go, and the market's going to gyrate around a little bit. Sometimes I'm going to put you in positions mentally, not in your demo, not in your live account, but I want you to feel what it feels like. I'm going to be doing certain things that retail traders are going to be trying to do. And I want you to feel and then record it in a tweet to me while I'm doing the live sessions on YouTube. Tell me what your sentiment is. Don't be afraid to say it. I'm not judging you. And if anybody says anything about it, fuck them. Because I want you to feel what you will feel in the beginning stages versus how you feel at the end of the year. It's going to be a totally different paradigm shift that you're going to be able to relate to. Oh, wow, I don't even think like that anymore. But unless you press into that uncomfortable state of revealing it to yourself, namely, handling that experience, you won't overcome that anxiety. And that's how you do it. You press into it and see that it can't hurt you. Why? Because you're not risking any money. You have all the upside advantages. Learning how to do this correctly and not have any adverse results of doing it and losing money. Because even if you lost $10 on something I call live, that's toxic. It feels like, oh shit, all the rumors are true. And you'll believe any little fucking unction that you get why you shouldn't do it. Ask anybody that makes real money. Do they lose? Yes. Does it stop them from wanting to do what they're doing? Fuck no. Look, taking losing trades, that's still way fucking better than going to work for fucking whatever it is that you got to earn a job with. You couldn't pay me. I'm unemployable. There ain't a motherfucking company out there that could pay me ever to not do this. There's not enough money out there to say, if you could go back in time, the choice of knowing what I know today, if I had that benefit of knowing with foresight I have right now, and go back and say, here's the other career choice that you could do, and it's this the high dollar amount, it wouldn't be enough. And I'm being honest. There ain't a fucking thing out there like this. Nothing. You can control when you do it, when you don't do it. Who says you can't take a vacation when you want to take a vacation? Fuck that. Carl's position in seniority is not going to affect your fucking position on picking the week that everybody in your family can get off, but you can't get it because fucking Carl at your fucking job says he's got seniority. Fuck Carl. Fuck that job. Fuck that employer. You're carving out your own trail, but you can't run that trail and blaze it yet. So don't rush and try to act before you can really do it. So you stay with your model, your approach, you stick with it, and it'll provide you that foundation, that beginning base that you start building more experience on. Oh, I want to learn how to pyramid. I like what ICT does. You can't learn that right away. You have to first understand what's a high probability trade. What is low probability? Can you differentiate that? Can you differentiate a high resistance liquidity run from a low resistance liquidity run signature yet? Some of you tweet to me and say, oh, this is a low resistance liquidity run signature, when it's not. I don't correct you. I don't say anything because I know right now some of you are so new. If I say anything, it's going to have a lasting impression on you, and it may be detrimental to your development. So I just leave it alone. I don't touch it. Some of you might see that and wonder why ain't he correcting him? I don't want to be a negative impact because you're so delicate right now. You're so easily influenced. I want everything to be communicated in the lectures and in the live sessions. Focus there. Unless I mention it there, everything else is not important. No other video series is important. No other thing is important. But if you need to have a foundation before we go into February 7th in the live sessions, you should go through those 40 videos that I put out last year in the 2022 mentorship. It's not a lot of material. You can probably digest it over the time between now and February 7th, not even rushing it. and it'll give you at least a foundation. So that way, when you see me pointing to certain things in the chart, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You don't need to do any other video series. I thought about this over the last couple weeks. I'm like, okay, I gave them, you all, a short list of video series. You really don't need anything except for last year's mentorship videos. It's only 40 of them, 41 of them. Know that and come up every day when I do the live sessions and follow along on Twitter every day, because I'm prompting you live where my focus is, where I believe the market's going to go next. And that is going to do more for you and your learning than anything else, because I'm forcing you to look at specific things in the market, framing only a small segment of price action. And then you can't deny it. It's fun, isn't it? Seeing it happen, real time charts, feels like fortune telling. It's like time travel. It's so fucking fun. And you haven't even made any money yet. Now imagine, fucking imagine, okay? You're in the Maldives. It's 5 years from fucking now. You're kicking back. You're thinking, you know what? That fucking ICT, yeah, that's a hell of a fucking guy. You came out there and literally fucking smoked everything out there for free. And look at the lifestyle I'm living right now. I gotta send that motherfucker a tweet. Dude, I'm over here right now, soaking up the sun on this fucking grass hut motherfucking thing floating around in this beautiful turquoise water. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for the new lifestyle that you had a small part in building for me. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to fucking walk around my fucking house like a fucking peacock, dance around, showing my moves like fucking Jagger, and my wife's going to slap me upside the head and say, shut the fuck up, okay? But I don't care. That's what I'm looking forward to. I know where all of you potentially could end up. You just don't see it yet. You don't see that yet. But I know it. I fucking know it. And you just have to show up. Show up every day, take notes, listen to all this boring bullshit. Because it matters. It doesn't matter to you right now because you want signals. You want to get your funded account secured. You want to make money. You want to copy trades and all that bullshit. Okay? That's all the wrong things. That's all the wrong things. You want junk food, fast food, and sugar fucking candy bars right now. That's what you want. You need the fucking meat and potatoes. That's what you need. You need that. You need a clean diet. Remove all the junk food from your fucking attention. That's what you need to be doing. Period. If you want to watch other people other than me, well, I gave you a guy. He's out there pushing. He doesn't, I mean, he just recently mentioned a fair value gap, but I don't see him going, oh, this is a fair value gap. And there's nothing wrong with that because he's consistently finding setups that he trusts on his own and he's making money. Let that be an encouragement to you. There's people making money, even outside of my shit. Some of them doing phenomenal, crazy level amount of money. And they ain't touched one ICT fucking thing ever. But I mean, this is me. This is my shit. I'm not going to talk about other stuff. You know, I can't tear down somebody that has done well and is making money, and it's not my inspiration to do that. I do attack retail logic because my methodology is opposed to it. Like, I turn it upside down. That's how I trade. And that sometimes comes across as arrogant, argumentative, prideful, boastful, you know, you name it. And I guess in a lot of ways I'm partially, you know, it's true. But it doesn't change the facts that these are the facts. This is how I trade. So you have to know yourself, the market, the market you're trading, your model, how you're going to only engage in that model. I'm not going to do anything outside the time parameters. I'm not going to trade another market. I'm not going to try to add another pattern. I'm not going to try to pyramid before I'm ready to understand how to do that. And you need to know the landscape, the economic landscape, the economic calendar. You know, is it conducive for a very easy week? Or are we plagued with a lot of high or medium impact news drivers, you know, in the economic calendar? FOMC, okay? CPI number, non-farm payroll. Those have a impediment on easy trading days. And you won't know what that feels like or understand what I just said until you see that happening. And you watch price action live over my shoulder, and I'm coaching you on what you should expect and what shouldn't be occurring today and what will likely occur. And then because you watched it and you didn't put a money result at the end of the lesson, you didn't lose or make any money. You observed price because that's the root pathway to success and making money. You have to determine, you have to pick, you have to guess, you have to forecast. Where is this market going? Is it going to go higher from where it is right now? Or is it going to go lower? If it is going to go against you, how far is it reasonable for you to allow for that and still trust that it's going to go where you think it's going to go? That's setting goals. The goal is not to have your stop loss hit, and the other goal is to have your targets and partials hit. That's setting goals. That's fucking trading, folks. People that say don't have goals, fuck them. They have no idea what they're talking about. You have to have a structured approach. That way you can go in and see this is what the market's likely to do. Not some retail horseshit. Not some kind of fucking dumb animal pattern that has absolutely no fucking bearing on what price is going to do next. It has no respect of that shit. You're fooling yourself with chaos. That's chaos theory. Oh, look, it's randomness. Go back and find, oh, this is where it would have worked. No. So you have to have an understanding of the economic calendar. You will see that obviously this year. I usually prompt you on Twitter anyway. And you have to obviously know your risk tolerance. It gets back to knowing yourself. So it begins and ends with the same thing, you. You have to know yourself, what you're comfortable with. Are you comfortable with a trading model that you're trying to buy? Can you afford to live in the trading house that you're trying to buy? In other words, are you going to be able to be comfortable only trading that model and not be influenced to do something else and dilute your attention and focus on the model that you're trying to build? If you're out there all the time, how foolish would it be for me buying a new home, moving into the new home, and I'm still unpacking? How foolish would it be for me to be looking at Zillow listings for new homes right now? That's the last thing on my fucking list. I'm not even thinking that, right? But how many times have you looked at something from an influencer, maybe me or someone else, and you see what they're doing and they show you results? They show you the MyFX book, or they show you the MT4 scroll of what their profits are. And you're thinking, oh, it's probably something else. That's a better house right now. I'd like to spend a night in that house. That's the equivalent of what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. But that shit is stupid. You don't even settle in on one methodology first to that way get some kind of baseline experience. And unfortunately, in this industry, there's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of things that's going to look sugar-coated, candy-coated, come over here, we have all the sweets that you want. But when you taste it, it's horseshit. And it's not even sugar-coated. You get your hands dirty, it smells like shit, tastes like shit, and you end up losing money. And you wasted time because you were influenced by image. Image. When all that shit doesn't matter. My cars, my home, the things I have, my checking account balance, all that shit cannot make you better as a trader. If it could, I would fucking shove it down your throat. Literally, I would cram it down your fucking face every day if I felt that it would make you a better trader. None of that shit does. And the only thing that does is invites worship. And I don't want you fucking worshiping me. I want you working your ass off, building your own model, finding the results you were looking for, and then just tell me, hey, this is what I've done. What do you think? Man, that's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for. How hard is this fucking relationship got to be? Seriously. Some of you are fighting me, and I'm trying to be the best friend you ever fucking had. So, core tenets to high probability trading, as obviously in short list, is you got to know yourself. Know the market you're trading. Don't dilute your attention. Trade only the model you're working with, nothing extra. No, don't tinker with it. Know the economic calendar and the landscape, the risks that are associated with that. And then you have to know your risk tolerance. What are you willing to absorb? Because you might get a funded account, and they might say that you have $6,000 daily drawdown. But when you hit 500 and you lose your fucking mind, what's your threshold really? $500. So you got to make some changes, don't you? Just because that funded account or your equity balance says that you can afford to trade more, you might not be equipped psychologically and emotionally to trade like that yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you only make 1% a month, and you're using what we considered the funded account of $150,000. Let me tell you something. That does significant damage to a rent payment. It does significant damage to a car note each month. It does significant damage to grocery costs today. You start there, folks. You don't aim for the pie in the sky type shit. The Lamborghini lifestyle. Lamborghinis are overrated. They're pieces of shit. The bottom line is you want to have income, cash flow, and you want to be able to trust that what you do, even though it will lose sometimes and you're going to make mistakes as a human being, it's all part of this industry. In that lifestyle, you have to grow accustomed to that. And by inviting people outside of yourself, that's friends, family, social media buddies, inviting them into that discussion, the only thing that comes from that is compounding the pressure, the anxiety, and stress. So why the fuck would you even consider doing it? Why would you do it? Right now, you think that it will establish you and make you better. What I'm telling you, it has the adverse effect on it. It makes it harder than it needs to be because you're compounding the mental baggage that you now have to carry. You have to carry the hopes and fucking treasured beliefs that your friends and family on social media, they're not your family, but you treat them better than your family. You have their hopes about you ahead of everything else. Don't think so? How many times have you rushed to fucking Twitter over your son trying to get your attention? He's tugging on your shirt. Dad, wait a minute. I gotta get this post on Twitter. I gotta show my fucking P&L for today. Oh, I gotta close this fucking trade right now so I can go on social media and share it. Don't bother me now, son. Don't bother me now, son. I'm on a roll. I got something better to do than to be a dad to you. I'm sorry if I gotta be market dad sometimes, but this is the shit that I had to learn from. That I did that stuff. I didn't do the best job as being a dad, and I wasn't the best husband because I put the markets and trading in front of all of them. And you don't want to live with what I live with now. It's regret. Because I would give 20 times what I have to get the opportunity to go back and fix that, and I can't. So all these things are going to weigh. When you fucking send me tweets or you put comments that I will not approve of on my fucking videos and saying you talk too much shit, get to the fucking point, get to the point. The point is, if you do this long enough, you're going to have these fucking problems. And you're going to have these regrets. And my point is, I don't want you to live with what I live with. I walked this shit. I lived it. And there's a lot of things I wish I could go back and undo, and I can't. I can't. And I'm an asshole if I fucking don't tell you how to avoid what I did. It doesn't matter how good a fucking trader you are. You're going to fuck up somewhere, and I'm showing you where you won't expect it. Success still brings with it the opportunity to be a fucking failure. I failed being the best daddy I could have been to my own fucking children. They saw me once in a while. I'm the ghost of the machine. I was the ghost in the fucking house too. Once in a while they saw me. That was it. I was chained to these fucking to these monitors. I was chained like a fucking slave to these charts. Because in my mind, this is who I am. And this is all I am. And that's not true. I'm a loving husband. I'm a loving dad. I'm a good friend. But in my mind, I allowed this whole industry to hypnotize me into thinking that my only sense of significance is me building up my net worth, building up my next trade, what's my result going to be, and there it is. That's how I define my whole existence over the last 30 years. Well, the last 28 years, because the last 2 years, I've wrestled with those demons and I've made it public. It's uncomfortable to talk about these things, but it's real, and nobody does enough of it. You like the Mark Douglas book? That's great. It was a nice read. But it doesn't even scratch the surface of what you're going to fucking endure in this. It's not about only the money you make and what you lose. It's what you give up. And you can't waste the time with toxic fucking bullshit. You can't do it. If you do those things, it's just going to hold you back. Or it'll be the very barrier that's going to block you. So when you're looking at trading the markets, you think it's just the charts and the patterns. And like all these guys that show they have money and shit, okay? Or they're making money and they're profiting. Like they don't have anything else to worry about. That's them lying. That's them hiding that stuff, okay? I literally love watching live streamers trade because number one, that is brass. That takes guts to do that. Number one, you're placing yourself out there in the eyes of everybody that wants to give you their opinion. And you may or may not appreciate their opinion, but you still are offering and inviting that. And then I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I invited all of you to go where I was watching, and I've been watching that guy, Patrick Flynn, for probably almost 4 weeks. And he's pretty consistent. And he has a little bit of a character to himself, and that's fine. I can appreciate that. It makes it more entertaining instead of just watching the candlesticks go by. But when obviously my entourage showed up, and some of you acted like fools and embarrassed me, and I know some of you probably aren't really my students, you're in there trying to be a dick. But I watched him and his disposition change. And I know that fucked his focus all up. And that's why I apologize publicly, because that was not my intent. And I'm not going to be there to try to do that anymore. But I did put your name out there, Pat. I think what you're doing is cool. It's awesome. I wish you would show more of Hawaii and some B-roll shit. That would be neat. It's beautiful there. My wife's been there. I've not been there. But the focus and the shift that took place was visual. And he guarded himself by putting it to members only chat. And he put up his walls. And I'm sure if we were honest and we were talking together right now, and I've never talked to him before, I think he would be honest and say, yeah, it kind of fucked me up. It pissed me off because, these people coming in here talking some shit and here I am doing it live. You're right. You're fucking doing it live. And these talkers are just talking shit. And that's what this industry is all about. These talkers that ain't doing shit. They're miserable. So that's what you're inviting. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared. If you're going to make your journey public, there's going to be a whole lot more negative fucking people watching you and hoping that you're going to fail. And are you really wanting to invite that in the beginning when you're so easily influenced? Most of you wouldn't be able to endure that. I'm pretty fucking good at trading. I'm pretty good at it. I am honest, and I've told you, I discovered in 2016, I can't process constant, chit-chat questions. Like, what the fuck? I can't even focus. Like, this is hard shit, man. This is hard. You are wrestling with your internal demons, and you're trying to decipher what these candlesticks are going to do next. And you're worried about what the fuck's going to happen in the world. Any given moment, some shit can hit the marketplace, some news event, some kind of fucking unexpected thing. All of a sudden, shit goes upside down. We are in, I don't care if anybody tells you this is not true. They're full of shit and they've been around long enough. These markets right now are so much more complex than they have ever been. Can I trade it? Yeah. But I can tell you in all honesty, even though you see me being as precise as I am not as comfortable as I was before the last 3 years, let's say it that way. I think that's a fair way of saying what I mean without saying it. And you probably hear my stomach growling. I apologize for that. But you're learning, let me tell you something, you're learning how to do this in the most difficult time ever. The markets are very fickle sometimes in recent months and years. There's not a lot of follow through. It's just real choppy. And there's opportunities to make money in that. But unfortunately, everybody wants these big textbook runners and expect these big explosive Bitcoin type surges where it just keeps on going and over delivers. And unfortunately, if you have that mindset and you're trading in these environments as of recent, it can be very frustrating and not deliver that. So, gotta wet my whistle. It's only the second time in the whole time we've been talking. I know I could talk, Hannah. I could keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. This guy never shuts the fuck up. Not when I'm awake, I don't. So, we covered a lot of things, core tenets to high probability, and basically it revolves around you. Everything is you. It's your responsibility. Your results are your own. Your success is your own. Your failure is your own. You own all of it. And that's what this industry forces upon all of us as traders. And unfortunately, some of you, much like I was in the beginning, I was ill-equipped for that reality check. And I want you to trust what you're going to be seeing and learning this year without money attached to it. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to combat that. If you don't believe me, waste your time this year and regret it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So technically speaking, what we will be doing is I'm going to do a top-down analysis. So I will go through the weekly chart. I'll give you what I think the weekly chart's going to do. So that kind of sets the stage for where I think that expansion on the week is likely to do. Like, is it more likely to have a larger portion of the weekly range go to the north, higher prices, or lower? And I want to kind of frame my trades predominantly in that direction. It doesn't mean I won't trade counter to that. It just means if I do take those trades, I won't pyramid those positions up if it's going against my weekly expectation. Let me say it again so that we understand. Hypothetically, let's just say I do my top-down analysis with you, and I show that my opinion is that there's a strong possibility that the S&P will have a sizable move. What is sizable? It's all relative to the time I'm showing you on the chart, and I'll give you very specific levels it's going to reach to, so it's not ambiguous. I would prefer a move on the weekly chart reaching to a specific level, under the marketplace, price right now. That means I want to do my largest position or even pyramid in that direction only. I will take longs and go long in that week, but I will never build a pyramid in that where it goes against my weekly commentary. So that way we understand what I'm doing here. I have done pyramiding against the weekly commentary or my weekly expectations, but it's very few and infrequent because I want to be trading with the order flow that I'm expecting and price delivery to be on my side. So that way I won't be building in a position that more likely to turn on me or not deliver. So, why throw, more gas on a fire that's, already out? You won't get any more ignition. It's done. So I'm trying to only push the real heavy-handed leverage trades in the direction where I have the highest probability of movement in my favor. So you'll see a top-down analysis, and it won't be arduous. It'll be very short and sweet, what I'm looking for. And you're going to ask immediately when I do it, well, why not this and why not that? My greatest request to you is this. Focus on the things I'm talking about only. If I'm not talking about it, it has no bearing on why I'm doing what I'm doing. This year, I'm going to show you how to take the things from my concepts and make a very lean, streamlined approach. It's not bloated with all the things that you think it's necessary when it's not. I don't know if you like a breaker as an entry technique. I don't know if you like the fair value gap. I don't know if you like, selling short buy stops on a false breakout. I don't know if you even trust a institutional order flow entry drill, because unless you know what a fair value gap is, you can't do an institutional order flow entry drill. Like, you wouldn't even know what that is. So everything has its own place, but also I'm cognizant of the fact that you're all bringing your own personality to this. So I have to make concessions for that as an educator and allow you to find your own niche in this, because if you don't bring your own personality to this and you try to copy me entirely all by itself, and whether I'm right or wrong, and if I'm giving profitable analysis, if you copy that, the only thing you've learned is to be codependent. And that's the worst thing as an educator. I don't want that. I'm not trying to cultivate that. I want you to be independent. I want you to learn how to do this on your own. And the only way you're going to do that effectively is by not doing anything with money attached to it. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, it sounds counterproductive, and you're thinking there ain't no way I'm doing that. If you're calling the market live, I'm in there. I'm fucking trading that shit. And I don't give a fuck. You can judge me afterwards, ICT. I need to get my ends met. I get it. I understand. Here's my request. Please don't tell me what you made or lost. I think that's fair. Okay? Please don't tweet to me and say, high five, ICT, thank you so much. I don't want to see that. Because if you do that, you are going to be in my mind when I'm doing the analysis. And I don't want to second guess anything. Like, I don't want to have any of those types of distractions, ever. When I call those shots on Twitter, I'm posting the tweets and I'm not looking at anything until afterwards. Because I can't have any of you influence me. I don't want to be worrying. I don't want to be managing your fucking trades. Okay? That's what it's going to become. I'm telling you what I think the market's going to do. And you won't see me push the button. So I'm not managing a trade. I'm reading price. I'm practicing what I'm preaching. That's how you learn it. But as soon as you all collectively are following them and taking trades and you're putting the results and you're showing you're making money, that's going to weigh on me. And I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be managing your fucking trades. That's why you see all these funded accounts, okay? These companies. I'm not stupid. Okay? I'm not fucking dumb. I know exactly what the fuck's going on. That's why I asked the other day, what funded accounts allow copiers, trade copiers? This is exactly why I shit on my FX book, 2017. Once I find out that someone's potentially going to trade and copy my fucking trades, I'm not interested. Listen, folks, I'm consistent with this. Even on TradingView, I shit those accounts constantly. Do it all the fucking time because I don't want I know somebody can fucking see what I'm doing there, and I actually literally type it out in my fucking charts. Stop following my fucking trades, TradingView, and I fucking purposely shit the fucking trades. I do it all the time. But you can argue about that, whether that's the real reason why I'm doing it or not. That all goes to the wayside when I'm out there live and I'm calling the market. That's what I want you focusing on. That's all I want you to focus on. If you do that, okay, if you do that, you will learn what you came here for. Top down we'll do, and we're going to note the higher time frame key levels on the daily chart. Now, what does that look like? What do I mean by that? Well, I did it this week. I outlined what I thought was going to be the direction using the, I didn't show you the weekly chart, but I guess I could, later today show you the chart on the weekly and show you what I was looking at and why it was impactful. But I did focus on the daily chart, and I told you how to split the wicks and taught you that the candlestick wicks are gaps. The algorithm sees wicks as gaps. So it's going to go to one of three levels: the high of the gap, the low of the gap, or the middle, which is consequent encroachment. And you saw how beautifully she followed her coding. She went exactly to those levels, like I was saying today. Well, not today, but the days I was showing you where those levels were and why they're important. You don't see that in any books in retail logic anywhere. None of that shit is taught anywhere else. Okay, that was codified in 1996, and there ain't no way you can dispute it. It is what it is. So we go through the daily chart, we go through the weekly chart, and there isn't a whole lot that's necessary, but that's the basis for framing narrative. Okay, so that way you know how to use the PD arrays. The PD arrays are the things that are going to be noteworthy, like an order block, a fair value gap on the daily chart or weekly chart, an old high or an old low, something that is going to cause the market to want to gravitate towards that level. That's how you have to build your beginning basis of a narrative. Why should the market reach to that level? Well, because it's already went down here and took out sell side, or it went above here to take out buy side. So we know whenever there's a stop hunt, we want to look for the opposing arrays. So I'll give you an example. The market trades down below a key low, whether it be weekly or daily, and it trades above it again. We reasonably expect that was a stop hunt. Not all the time, but that we go into our decision-making process. If this, then that. So if the market takes out a low, and we're doing fresh analysis beginning of the week, like right now, we're in neutral time. So the markets are not trading. I'm not talking about crypto because to me, that's not the market. But if we, and I just killed a lot of you and pissed me off, and I'm probably pissing you off by saying that, but I don't want you asking me about crypto. That's why I do it. I don't trade it, so please don't ask me. But our markets, futures and forex, is not trading right now. So this is when you want to do your analysis, your higher time frame analysis, where you're not being influenced by the up and down ebb and flow of price action. And it's static right now. Everybody in every major institution right now, they're looking at their charts too. They have their analysts looking at shit over the weekend, so that way they can get their positions squared for what? The open on Monday. How are we going to be in that pursuit of investment profits for the coming week? Everybody's losing sleep right now, tonight, going into Sunday, worrying about what the fuck is this market going to do come Sunday's opening? How are we going to trade on Mondays at 9:30 opening? What's going to happen? Everybody's pouring themselves over charts, drawing fucking phantom trend lines and shit, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things, flipping rune stones on the ground, reading tarot cards, getting their palms read. They're all trying to figure out what it's going to do. What we do is simply strip it down to, is it likely that we're going to see the weekly candlestick that's going to form in this new week coming up? Is it going to have more potential to expand higher or lower? That sets the baseline for narrative. You need that before you get to bias. To arrive at a bias, you must understand how the narrative is likely to pan out. What's it likely to do? Well, the weekly chart's likely to go up to the specific level. And how much of a movement is that? Does it allow for multiple trades? And then you look at the daily chart and you look for those levels as well. And there's something inside that potential price run after it's taken out sell side liquidity. Then you look for where's the imbalance that exists, if it does, because it may not be one. Is there a fair value gap that it may reach up to? And is it above equilibrium of the last price leg down? And if there isn't, then you look for it to go to buy side. I sound like I'm trying to complicate things, but you're just watching one video of many. So you're expecting one video, one post from me on Twitter to encapsulate the entire process and the algorithm itself. And it's impossible, and it's unrealistic expectations. There's nobody that can short line this content. You can't. There's a lot of people out there on YouTube that are trying to do it. Learn ICT in 5 minutes. Fuck that. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. You have to go through eating this elephant one bite at a time. And I've already warned you going in. It's a long meal. If you want precision, it costs. If you want Tom, Dick, and Harry's fucking, wannabe algorithm and watch bullshit posts on your fucking chart, go right ahead. Do that. Learn good money management, you'll probably do well. Because that's the real answer there. And then you're going to be using these higher time frame weekly and daily PD arrays, order blocks, fair value gaps, and old highs and old lows. Is that complicated? I mean, I've done a lot of talking today, but have I made anything overly complicated by saying we look at a weekly chart? The weekly chart's likely to go higher, so I'm going to be focusing primarily to do my biggest positions in buying only. Not saying I won't sell short and go short in opportunities where it presents itself, but I'm only looking to limit my big heavy-handed bets on the direction that the weekly chart is likely to move in. Not close. I'm not trying to predict the closing price on that weekly candle. I'm not trying to do that. I'm looking for, is it more likely for that next weekly candle to have a lot of movement, the largest portion of the weekly range, be going up or going down? And you're probably thinking, okay, well, tell me how to do that. I'm going to. That's what mentoring is. I'm going to fucking literally do it. I'm going to explain why I'm doing it. But some of you don't listen. Like you're asking me, when am I going to do this? I've been very consistent by telling you, on the 7th of February, live streams are going to happen. But I've been teaching every day. Each small little thing I'm giving you is one more building block. But you're all expecting that building block to be the fucking skyscraper immediately delivered to you. And you understand how to live in it now. Trump Tower. I'm not a Trump fan, by the way. Divisive, always divisive. That guy, Tom Hogard said I was like a Moses. I divided the waters. I was laughing about that. Anyway, you want a crowd? You want a faithful crowd? Be divisive. Because when they love you, you know you got a good baseline of people to talk to then. The people that hate you, fuck them. But the ones that love you, then you have a baseline to work with. And you cater to them. And then by their results, you'll grow. That's how I've done this. There's no advertising. There's none of that bullshit. It's all organic. And I planned all this stuff out. I am very divisive for a reason, because I knew it causes smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire. You come here, you get your ass burnt. Once you have these higher time frame weekly and settlement on the daily PD rates you're looking for, then you can build a narrative utilizing the economic calendar. So certain days are more likely to produce big ranges. And what days would you expect small ranges to form? Just ahead of a high impact news driver like CPI, FOMC, rate announcements, or non-farm payroll. Now, non-farm payroll is a little bit of a wonky one, because this is why I teach my students. If you're going to trade that week, you can trade on Monday, you can trade on Tuesday, but come Wednesday in the New York session, after that, you don't want to trade, because it gets really shitty, and the delivery of price tends to be on a Wednesday afternoon. Not always. I know some of you are going to go on the charts and say, look at this. ICT said never trade on Wednesday. Get the fuck out of here. I'm saying over my 30 years of experience doing this, I have learned to not want to trade in Wednesday afternoon, even though you watch me do it. Thursday's trading, and then on Friday or non-farm payroll. Don't trade that. Now, that does not mean that price is sitting still and it's not moving around. There are trades there. But as a new student who I'm always talking to, it's important for you to know that those market environments are not the same as a week after non-farm payroll. There's a lot of heavy manipulation that goes on that week. There's a lot of wait and see type conditions, and the market just tends to be really unfavorable. I can push the button in those days. I can do it. I've done it. I've proven it. But as a new developing student, it doesn't have experience. You can hurt yourself. So I try to do my best to make you aware of where these snares, these pitfalls, these traps, these things that are going to hurt you, these thorn bushes. Okay? You don't need to be enticed by the pretty flower that everybody puts up on social media and say, look at this rose I collected today on non-farm payroll. And then when you fucking try to do it next Friday, you get a thorn in your hand. I'm trying to prevent that, okay? Because I hurt myself doing those things, because I believe these assholes that put out these systems, if your pops up red, you're a seller on non-farm payroll. If it pops up green, you're a buyer. And they're trying to predict the numbers. Man, I lost so much fucking money doing that shit. Just wait for non-farm payroll. If you want to do anything, wait for non-farm payroll, non-farm payroll, tongue twister there. Wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the non-farm payroll, and then look for imbalances or liquidity, and then boom, there it is. You can trade it. But I want to be consistent, because I know the new students that come to me are not listening attentively. They're cherry picking what they want to hear. They're waiting for, this is the buy, this is the sell, here's the stop, here's the target. That's what you're listening for. So I'm like a bulldozer. Don't trade then. It makes it easy to manage you. And then ultimately it's your responsibility if you hurt yourself those days, because I said don't do it, right? So that's why I teach the way I do. I'm trying to be, and this might sound arrogant and a little off base, but some of you need a dad, okay, to tell you sometimes shit ain't right. And sometimes you got to just listen to me and trust that. Trust me. I've done this before. I've been here. I know that I have students that are older than me. Okay, but the ones that appreciate good wisdom and good real knowledge, they reach out and say, look, I appreciate that. I'm older than you. I'm 80 years old, and I can hear you. Like, I can hear the father in you telling your students this, and I can appreciate it, and it resonates with me, and I'm older than you. And I appreciate that. Like, I like that kind of stuff. I like that more than the you're the greatest of all time goat shit. I can't fucking stand that. But anyway, we're almost there, folks. Only a quarter of the way left, okay? Congratulations, you've endured another one. So what's a simple model? Okay, what is a simple model so that way you can build this blueprint, or at least start thinking about it this weekend? Like, where are you going in this pursuit this year. You can't wait to see what I'm going to do. Oh, I can't wait to see what you're going to do. Okay. But as a simple model, we're using the ES, the E-mini S&P. That's our market. And we're focusing our attention on 9:30 to noon. Now, I'm not going to be here all the way till noon. I'll probably usually close the session around 11 o'clock. I will tell you what I think may happen, but most of the time you're going to see if there was a setup, it's usually probably panned out by 11 o'clock. And if it's anything less, it's going to be a partial that you could pretend to manage in your own attention and following price. Okay, but from 9:30 opening, that's the model from 9:30 to noon. So that would be your working hours. I will be in live session at 8:30. I want to see the news drivers if there is one. And I will be putting us in live sessions when there won't be a news driver. So that way you can see the difference in how we trade those and what we would encounter, how to think about it, what the process would be. But my time will be usually like 7:15 New York local time. That way there's 15 minutes to do my bullshit monologues. And then at 8:30, we'll watch the delivery of price after that. And then I'll have my charts open, but I'll probably walk away until like 10 after 9. And then I'll start watching price again and prepare for the 9:30 opening. I'll give you what my expectations are, what I would like to see, what I don't want to see. And then we wait for it to materialize. And then I would say, this is what we would expect to see price in next. And I'll start painting a narrative based on every 1 minute and 5 minute candle. And you'll watch it over my own charts. You'll see it on my charts. You'll see it's not fucking delayed. Okay. It's real. And if you have been listening to me all this time, I've told you the only way you're going to be able to see this live, and you can't even trade like with delayed data. Like you can't do it with TradingView. And I'm in TradingView. So you'll see it. I'll explain why I'm expecting it to happen. You will see consistency. You will see understanding and price action. You will get comfortable with not knowing when there is nothing to do. There's times when that is there. And you'll see that there's no reason to be afraid of that or feel like you don't know something. If you don't know something, that's when you sit still. There are times as a trader, I don't know enough. Does it mean that I'm ignorant to how markets operate? No. It means I understand how they fucking operate. And it means I know that this is a trap. Retail will chase everything during those times. I'm not going to. And I'm teaching you how to do that too. Know when to do it, when not to do it. The best valuable lesson you can learn is when not to do something. Walking up to the pot that's sitting on the stove. You just got home. You don't know if that pot's hot until when? You walk over and you put your hand on it too fast and burn your ass, or you put your hand near it. You respect the risk of, I might burn my hand here. That's experience. You burned your hand before. You didn't learn the lesson of just not touching the pot yet, just getting close to it. Does it feel warm? No. As a kid, you don't know what. You don't know the experience of getting burned. And that's exactly the mindset that most of you that are coming to me are. So I'm teaching you with that perspective in mind. It may seem disrespectful to some of you, the way I teach. It may seem like you're talking to me like a kid. I'm an adult. Look, I get it. But I'm also aware that some of you motherfuckers don't want to listen. And you get yourself in situations that I got to read emails about. I wish I would have listened to you. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And that's all avoidable. It's all 100% avoidable because you're learning in a condition where there's no risk. That's the only way you can cut through the bullshit and read price. The outcome is, are you seeing price do the things I'm teaching you? If that's what you learn to do and you can forecast that and track real-time order flow without depth of market, without all the bullshit, we're just looking at the candlesticks. That's all we're doing. Time and price. That's all we're doing. You will not see a fucking indicator pop up on my fucking chart ever. The open, high, low, and close on a 1 and 5 minute chart once we start going. In the beginning, I will revisit the weekly and the daily. I'll show you the key levels that are impactful. But we're going to right down into the 1 and 5 minute charts that will have those annotated levels from those higher time frames. So that way you can see how price gyrates and gravitates towards them based on specific times of the day. And you will grow confident in your ability to be able to do this because you have been trained to see it. You will see exactly what's going on. And over time, you will adopt the same mindset that I have, where you can reasonably trust, not unequivocally, not absolutely trust, it's never going to fail, but you will learn to trust the things I'm teaching you have a high measure of merit, and they repeat a lot more than they fail if certain conditions are met. And I know that your head's swirling right now. What are those conditions? Why can't you just spell it out? You will learn it better and more effectively by me doing it in front of you. Certain lessons can't be taught in a book. You just can't do it unless you see it done. And a lot of you, you're going to discover that you are better visual learners. And that's why it's been a struggle for you, because you have to go in and find these things on your own. And if you don't know what you're doing or what you're looking for, it feels like it's a never ending cycle of learning, but never getting to where you should be arriving. And I understand, it's understandable. But if you sit in front of charts and watch the real-time data, if you do that for several months, you will know right away what I was talking about in those lectures, and it will resonate with you. And because I know some of you haven't done that, this is the opportunity for you to be enticed by me. And it's for your it's better for you to see it, even though I know that some of you are going to copy me and do it as trades. I don't want to know about it. Okay, that's all I'm asking. Don't. It's like the dad. I know you're going on a date. I don't want you to do certain things, but I can't stop you and I can't control what you do when you're outside of my sight. But I just don't want you bringing home babies. Okay, don't come home telling me you got somebody knocked up. I don't want to hear about it. Okay, whether you made money or lost money, that's your fucking business. That's the bed you make it, you lie in it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to put out there, and it is the last time I'm going to talk about it. But we will go through the expectation of looking for a setup between 9:30 and noon. Most of the time, you're going to see that the setup usually pans out by 11 o'clock, and then we're focusing trading inside the intraday price action. So day trading, and the specific time is 9:30 to noon, that window of opportunity, and your time is always going to be New York time. Focusing on PD array matrix inside that fractal. So the other day when I put up a video and I shaded out the 9:30 to noon, I said, this is your window. This is what you're focusing on. Everything prior to that, you don't give a shit about. You don't care about it. It's irrelevant. Unless I talk about it, unless it's encapsulated in that little fractal of time. What time? 9:30, shade that, all the way over to noon. Everything you're looking for and hunting for is going to occur in that time window. Now, that's the aspect of what you're focusing on for where the setup's going to form, because that's time. What are you looking for next? Price. So where has it been in that range? That's what you're looking for. You want to see what is it referring to next. And is it going to reach outside the boundaries of the present range that's formed, or is it going to stay within that? And that won't make any sense to you until you are with me looking over my shoulder, and I'll explain it to you. That's what I mean by certain topics. Unless you watch me articulate it live over the chart, it won't make any sense. It will feel like it's disjointed. And it wasn't a premeditated action on my part to make it feel that way. It's just this is the way it is. Like you can't do it unless you do it. You can't learn it unless you get your hands in it and see it and just handle it each day, seeing it over and over and over again. That's what I'm doing with you with Twitter. I'm prompting your attention to look at a specific element of time, watch this level, watch where it's going to go to next. This is what we're looking for, and then you see it. Look at the excitement everybody's posting and the response. Man, this is great. This is so fun. Exactly. That's how learning should be. That's how it should be. Because when it's fun, it's engaging. It makes you feel like, wow, this is not a waste of my time. I really see the effects of what I'm doing here. Like there's a real result panning out, which is what we were expecting. It was measured, and it delivers. Amazing. Now, contrast that with everything I've tried to do in all these books and shit, and I've never been able to see this type of precision and continuity. I've never been able to find anything else deliver what I'm trying to share with you. So hopefully that's a selling point on you not spending any money with me, right? And we're going to be utilizing the medium and high impact news drivers. That means the economic calendar. I'll talk you through that. Obviously, every day on the Twitter feed, I tell you, you be mindful of certain things at certain times. And we're risking no more than 1%. Hypothetically, if we're looking at the moves, okay, you need to go back and reflect on it after the fact. You're not watching it and thinking, this is how much money I'd be making or losing. After the fact, when you do all your markups and you annotate your chart and you record your observations for that day and that case study that we've done, you want to go through and say, okay, hypothetically, using what I just watched today, I would have used potentially this entry point, this price, and where my stop would be. How much drawdown would I have incurred? How much time did it take before the drawdown or first partial was met? And then how long does it take before the trade actually goes to fruition and reaches terminus? That means our target, or where we would have been stopped out hypothetically. Because I'll walk you through when price is there. I'd say, okay, it should not go to this level. Whenever I say price should not revisit this level, in your mind, for annotation purposes later on, that's where you have a hypothetical stop loss. Okay. Some of you are going to interpret that as that's where I need to raise my stop to or lower my stop to. I don't want to hear about it. Okay. But that's what your mindset is after the fact. So that way you're doing what I teach my students to do. If you can't watch it live, the same lesson is profitable for you to go through it in hindsight the same way. And you'll have the benefit of watching real-time data because my chart will be live recorded showing a 1 and 5 minute chart. So there's no disadvantage here, because even if you sat down and watched me talk about it live, it's the same experience, especially if you don't look at the chart. Like if you can't be here live, don't look at anything. Come home, do your normal everyday thing, okay? Don't look at the charts. Just go to my live stream and watch it from that perspective only. And you will have the same experience that individuals that are going to be watching me live do it. You'll have that same experience. It'll be unknown to you what actually transpires. You won't have inside edge to know what actually panned out afterwards. So it won't distract you. And you'll see what it feels like to be watching it and me explain what it should and shouldn't do. And it's just a really rewarding thing. It will convince you to do it when I'm not live streaming, because I'm not going to live stream every day. I've only committed to 2 a week, because you'll see it's a lot. It's several hours, 2 times. And look at this shit, I'm still talking to you now. Okay, it takes a lot of time out of your week. A lot of people don't have a whole lot of time, right? But this year, I'm making my time available to you. And if you do the things I'm telling you to do, you will learn what it is you're here for. And I think, yep, I think I've got one more thing here. When you're looking at your trades, okay, hypothetical trades, when you're logging it, you're talking to yourself in your charts. Like, I seen this fair value gap, and I felt confident that that was a strong area for me to go in, enter on, and I felt confident that my stop loss placed here would mitigate any undue anxiety, and I would trust the fact that getting stopped out here would be a good thing and it would limit my loss. It sounds artificial. It sounds stilted. It sounds disingenuous. It is. It's total fucking bullshit. But you're giving yourself positive self-talk in your charts. So that way when the week pans out, and on the weekend you're looking back, you're seeing the chart, you're going in there recording the whole process all over again by seeing every individual candle, and you're reading those annotations. It's in your own words. You wrote it, but your subconscious sees that, and you're feeling the dopamine of, wow, this really panned out. Look how this whole week went. You're going into that journal. You already know it's a love fucking story. You already know it's a good fucking thing. It's good. But when you go back and you read it in your own words that you saw that coming, you saw that your self-talk is positive. You're absolutely not shitting on anything about the marketplace that you did or didn't see. Nothing negative ever gets into your journal. Nothing. Nothing. There's always a way to unemotionally be detached from recording something that would be not a favorable outcome. And what do I mean by that? The days that you see me outline it, I want you to adopt that same mindset, like you saw the same thing I saw, but from your perspective, and say, okay, I was looking for this fair value gap to support price, It was unsuccessful here, and this is what I learned from it. See the difference between that and saying this fucking shit never works. I always get the wrong ones. You know, you don't want anything negative in your journal, because when you refer back to it on Saturday or Sunday, whenever you do it, when the market's not trading, you want to go through your Monday through Friday markups and then record how much drawdown every one of these potential setups were there. And then read out loud in your own words every annotation. It's like meditation. And I know it doesn't seem like it's going to be all that impactful, but you're literally coaching yourself with the most positive influence that you can do. And you're tricking your subconscious into thinking that that was experience that you had and foresight that you knew beforehand. That's how you train your reticular activating system. When you see something over and over again, and it's a positive thing, it combats fear and anxiety. And it reinforces the understanding of what it is that your pattern recognition should be zeroing in on when you're watching price. You cannot teach yourself any other way. That's it. That's the secret sauce to learning how to do this effectively and properly. And no, it will not happen in 1 week. It will not be in 1 month. It won't be in 3 months. It won't be in 4 months. It's going to take the whole fucking year. Okay? So pack a fucking lunch, bring some road snacks, no beer, no intoxication. leave your weed, for the weekend. But when we're doing this shit, you got to be 100% lucid. 100%. Leave the baggage at the door. Leave all your bullshit, preconceived ideas about what you think the market's going to do on your indicators or anybody else. Focus. Focus on what I'm talking about. What I'm not talking about is not important. That's all you need to do. Show up, roll your sleeves up, and just have fun. Have fun, and I promise you everything that was a sticking point for you, I'm going to remove all that this year. You're going to have no hindrances whatsoever except for the time required being here. And it's expensive. It's expensive. This costs more than any amount of money I would have charged, because you already have anxiety about it. Am I going to waste my fucking time with this guy? Am I going to be wasting my time with this shit? What happens if I go into this, I'm watching for 2 months, and this shit doesn't make any sense to me still? How do you know yet? How do you know that that's something to be even worrying about right now? Because I believe I've already presented enough reason to do a further investigation for free. And if anything, I promise you're going to come away with a better understanding about price anyway. And you keep pressing into it, showing up every day, doing the same things I'm teaching you to do, even when I don't do it. That means when I'm not doing a live session, you need to be doing what it is I did in the live sessions, how I did it, what I'm expecting, why certain things repeat over and over and over again. And you'll see there's continuity there. And you'll also see when I get it wrong, there's no emotion. There's no shame, no embarrassment. It says, okay, here's what, it didn't do this, so now what do we do? Here's the process. We do this, 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 and we don't do this, this, and this, and then we either close the charts, or we wait for more information, or we wait for the afternoon session. There's a process that I'll walk you through, and it's something that you need to see being done. And you'll see all this anxiety, all these fearful things that you're so concerned about right now are such a distraction for no reason. All the negative things that you're thinking right now. But what if it doesn't do this? And what if it doesn't work? And what if it this? And what if that? And what if the market makers go against ICT on every trade? Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Sign up and just show up for that, right? That's a good enough reason to show up, right? Let's see him blow it. The negative thoughts that you're thinking right now, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to close it. You're placing so much emphasis on the potential of this being a waste and a scary thing to endure. And you don't want to waste any of your time. You don't want to be a victim of ICT. Oh, I believe this bullshit and it didn't work. That's what you're feeling right now. Not all of you, some of you. I'm talking to the ones that are just really on the fence still. But if you're being honest with yourself, you're doing that with most of everything in your life. You're more prone to be anxious about everything, not just what I'm about to show you. And I understand what that feels like. I live with generalized anxiety and high anxiety to the point of agoraphobia where I didn't want to be around other people. I'm going to help you overcome at least this part of your anxiety. I'm going to show you that you can do this. I'm going to show you that you can forecast price action. You can get it wrong sometimes and still be right more times than not. And I want you to trust that you have everything in you to be able to do this. You just need to be guided, that's all. You need to be shown what to focus on, what not to focus on. Find a way to be disciplined, repeat these same things over and over again, and the results cumulatively over the year you will see is profitable. I am not saying profitable in terms of money. You're learning, your experience in understanding how to read price, it will be profitable. You will have more understanding than you had right now. And it will be an encouragement to you. And it will help you combat future anxiety. Because there will be times where the market's going to get shitty. This year, we could potentially go into a period where it gets really, really, really hard. And that's great, because that means I'm going to teach you in that environment. And if you can find setups in that, when the salad days comes, when it's easy days trading, that's what I mean by that, where it just falls into your favor so fast, and you can see the setups coming a mile away. You get in it, take a trade, and it just runs away right perfectly like you want it to. Like yesterday, when I showed you the real Enigma entries. And the market just took off. Funny how that iceberg order was in there, Patrick, at the same time I called out the actual high 1 minute candle, and you mentioned the iceberg. Cool how that worked, didn't it? Dump right to where we were looking for it. So you'll see, I have a lot of magic tricks to share. You'll enjoy this year, I promise you. But that's going to be it for this one. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I know some of you really like these long ones. Most of you really don't like these long ones, but some of you really like them. And the ones that love it, that's the one I'm catering to. But anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I will touch base with you, obviously, by way of Twitter on Monday, Lord willing. And till then, enjoy the rest of your weekend and be safe.